The Democratic Alliance has submitted a Promotion of Access to Information Act application to the Transport Minister. The party wants her to provide a record of what that informed her decision, or how that informed her decision, to provide harbour space for Karpowerships for the next 20 years. Now, the DA's Shadow Minister for Mineral Resources and Energy, Kevin Mileham, joins us virtually now. Kevin, thank you so much for your time. We just spoke to the spokesperson of the Department of Transport, and we asked them what he makes of the DA's request for those records, and he says he wasn't aware of the request. What kind of reaction have you had from the Department of Transport?
Well, it was only sent in today, and they do have 30 days to respond. So we are pushing for that response as a matter of urgency, but we want to know exactly how they came to the decision that they did, on what basis they have bypassed the criteria for a mooring permit, on what basis the minister took her decision, and whether or not it was discussed with Cabinet. So that's what we're asking for, the full record of decision and any documentation attached thereto.
I spent quite a bit of time speaking or interrogating the subject with Colin Seaby, trying to find out why now, because he did say, look, this has been on the cards for the last 2 years. So I said, yes, but it's been very much dormant because some very serious questions have been asked about this potential deal. And now, all of a sudden, we've seen all this activity around it. What does the Democratic Alliance think about the timing of this? Because he said to me that it's got nothing to do with the urgency for power right now. There are certain processes that still need to take place. So then my question is why? Why now then?
Well, the first thing that you need to factor in is that there is urgency for power. There is an emergency underway. But what worries the Democratic Alliance and me in particular is that the Karpowerships contract was in terms of what is called the Risk Mitigation Independent Power Producers Procurement Program. And that was emergency procurement. Now, when you enter into a contract for emergency procurement, it's usually short term to cover an immediate need. And the worry that we have is that the contract that they are proposing is a 20-year contract. So that's not an emergency procurement by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to cost more than 200 billion rand to see us through that contract. And so we are saying, well, okay, if it's an emergency procurement, we can understand bringing those power ships on board for 2-3 years and then allowing Eskom the space and time they need to fix their plant, or allowing renewable energy independent power producers to come online. But you don't want gas guzzling, polluting power ships in your harbors for 20 years at a time. And the other part of concern is that these power ships or the company has not met all the criteria of that risk mitigation independent power producers procurement program. So they were identified as a preferred bidder 3 years ago, but they haven't met the EIA requirements. They didn't have the Transnet authorization, and they certainly haven't met the financial close requirement, which means that they must be disqualified. So there's going to be a lot of things happening between now and if they ever come online.
Yeah, and we also believe that the environmental minister has spoken about potentially requesting environmental reports. That's encouraging as well. So what is your understanding about how much of a done deal this is?
I think the President and Minister Mantashe would love it to be a done deal. I think that there may well be other issues that are pressurizing them into taking that decision. But I certainly think that the Environmental Minister and the Department of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment have still got to go through their process. So we'd like to see what the outcome is of that process. They are currently appealing the rejection of their EIAs, which were found deficient in the first round. So they are busy going through that process, and we'd like to see what the outcome is of that.
It also seems like a lot of effort to go through for just 1,200 megawatts, Kevin.
Well, it is. 1,200 megawatts is essentially one stage of load shedding. But if we freed up it's 400 odd megawatts at each of the harbors, if we freed up that connection, we would be able to connect multiple other projects that are far less polluting. You will recall that in December last year, in bid window 6 of the Renewable Energies IPP project, in bid window 6, there were a number that didn't actually get selected because there was no grid capacity available for them. And this would free up in the Western Cape, in the Eastern Cape in particular, 400 megawatts at each of those areas.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. The DA Shadow Minister for Mineral Resources and Energy, Kevin Mileham, still asking some very important questions with regards to this Karpowerships deal.